Wexford Epic below in Wexford Park. That set the tone for the whole summer. Then I suppose Cork took over with our unexpected march through Munster, through the three big teams there. Waterford have come in kind of, after a very poor display in the Munster Championship, beating Kilkenny, and then, of course, the last day, I think showing that they're back close to the form they were last year. So with tipping Kilkenny gone out of it, now we're going to have new champions. So the novelty factor, which is great for everybody. But I suppose after last Sunday, Galway are now the new poster boys. So, Michael, you'll have to rub it or not, because you're going to be favourites for the All-Ireland. But, talking to the people coming into the game, the supporters are always looking for reasons to be optimistic.
Of course.
And I suppose Waterford are saying that we won't be as bad as we were in the Munster Championship. That's basically their philosophy, and even the Burka thing is a big thing in it. But even with that, they're saying, they played so badly that day, still they only finished 5 points behind Cork. Cork a little bit more cagey, because they did this in 2014. Remember, they ran through Munster, won their 3 big games through Munster, and then they came to Croke Park in the semi-final and basically collapsed. And there's 10 of those starting today. So they're a little bit, hesitant about things. So it all adds to the mix of a really, really intriguing contest.
Well, obviously, Ger, the man beside you, was hoping for a good day for Cork. It's been a fairly good day so far, actually, Donald, because your minors are after beating Dublin.
Yeah, I was just watching it there, Michael, and I think that that adds to the whole air of optimism that's around Cork. Added amount and people talking about the game. So I'd say that there's even in the stadium, you're looking around, I came in here a couple of hours ago and it seems to be red all over the stadium. So optimism is high.
It's good year to be opening a new stadium down in Cork as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to be part of it. Great weekend for the city. I was talking to a business person yesterday and they said that they had a bumper weekend that weekend.
Oh,
so
sure.
Absolutely, everything positive.
Yeah, all right. The neutral man here, if you like, from that point of view. And the thing about it is, Henry, that Ger mentioned it there a moment ago, the Tadhg de Búrca factor. How much do you think that will influence Waterford today, one way or the other?
Well, it's very easy for us to say now. I suppose we won't know until 5:30 what the influence was. But I would imagine he's a serious player. I was just talking outside before. He's a brilliant player. It's very unfortunate he's not playing. For me, the rule says deliberate. I don't think he went to do deliberate. I think we should be seeing Tadhg de Búrca here today. But it might galvanise the team. There was a lot of rumours of discontent in the Waterford camp earlier in the year, but they've really come back strongly since that loss. And, they've sets of brothers in the team, the Bennetts, Shanahans, there's someone else as well. And I think they're really coming together. And this Tadhg de Búrca case might actually make him even tighter.
That's the big question,
And so, but no doubt behind him, Michael, he's a serious loss to him because he's a brilliant hurler. And he's been playing that role for 3 years, 3 years solid. So for Dara Fives to step in, it's going to be a big ask.
It certainly is. All right, lads. Waterford, of course, have been waiting since 1959 to bridge that gap since their last All-Ireland senior hurling success. And many fine teams have come and gone for the Dacians since then, but naturally the wait goes on. But recently, we spoke to 3 men who were part of a team that enjoyed plenty of success, even if the big prize remained just out of reach.
Well, lads, look, I suppose another semi-final for us. I think it's our 12th semi-final in 19 years, which is fair going. We've only won one, and that's probably fair going on the opposite way. But
because we're responsible for a lot of that.
Exactly.
It wasn't a great record, but as you said, 12 semi-finals for Waterford. When we were going up, there wasn't a hint of one. So the plus side is that the kids and the young hurlers in Waterford are getting to go to Croke Park every year and see their own teams playing.
The perception out there is it's about time we probably pulled one off. It's about time, after so many bad days up there. But we know what we want down here, and that's an All-Ireland. And I think the team is ready this time, and I'm very hopeful.
Tadhg de Búrca is the player he wants to speak to, and it's a straight red.
It's a big thing for the last 2 weeks, and the whole county was waiting on it. I'm sure the young fella himself, he's out for Sunday, and I suppose, look, the way the lads playing, the way they set up, he's probably the most vital part of the team.
He's in the top 2 players on the team that you don't want them to miss. His aerial ability, plus the fact that I think every cornerback, if you look at Conor Gleeson and Shane Fives and Barry Coughlin, not to have him there as a safeguard might affect them.
This is the one team that you probably will sit someone back. The movement with them, the skill they have, and even the different options they have of low ball, high ball,
different type of player too,
different type of player.
And then on the flip side of that, it's the spare man in their backs. In the Munster semi-final, Austin struggled to get a spot on the pitch.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, the Cork half-back line, stroke full-back line had a beano that day. You know, they played under no pressure. I fear on Sunday that Waterford won't attack the Cork full-back line and won't test them. And I think the Cork full-back line, they're there to be tested. We're going to have to sit back a little bit, as you're saying, but we have to get Austin into the game.
He's our main player, like, and if you look at even the Galway Tip game last Sunday, the game was won by a stroke of genius by Joe Canning. And we have that with Austin. So you need him on the ball, you need him in a game. I think in a central position where I think he's on more ball and working harder.
If Waterford won the All-Ireland 8-7, we'd all be thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
They could get rid of the sweeper then.
I'd love to see these lads left off the leash at some stage. We don't really know, really yet, how good this team could be, you know.
Every team has its identity, really. You know, we had our identity, I think. You know, we had managers that just wanted us to play off-the-cuff kind of hurling, you know.
But we didn't win an All-Ireland. And that'll always be thrown back probably at us, that we played that way and we were probably every person's second favourite team. But we didn't win the All-Ireland, so that's why probably Waterford are going down the road of being more structured, trying to be more compact.
Unless we win the All-Ireland this year, the year after, playing that system, you know, maybe it might be time for change then, to go back to leave the lads, you know, express themselves a little bit more.
It's a nice buzz around town here, and everyone can't wait for the game. And I expect a great game. I expect a lot more physicality from us than we gave against in the semi-final down in Thurles. I think we have to, and I think if our big players play well, I think we'll be in a final, lads. And hopefully, look, it's too long, isn't it?
It's an unbelievable chance. I mean, Cork have their dander up. They are dangerous. I think it's very close, and I think if we are to win, it'll be the 4 or 5 lads with pace that come off the bench that'll turn it in our favour. So hopefully they'll do that.
I think both teams will be quite happy with the draw. And even though Cork were in the All-Ireland in 2013, I just think that this Waterford team is a little bit more experienced. They're not fazed by the big day. I just think it's their time, and that's why I think they'll win it.
And that indeed is the view from the Déisle. We heard Ger, the lads talking there about the desire to see Waterford kind of let off the leash and to go out and express themselves and all that kind of thing. But the reality of it is, I suspect they have a system and they have to stick to it.
Well, Derek McGrath came in 4 years ago, and in the first year he let him play off the cuff and let him play the traditional way, Liam Lawler at full-back, and he had a lot of the older players still there. It didn't work out for them. They were badly beaten in the championship. Yeah. So he said, listen, I have to do something new. So he came on this system of playing with a sweeper, as we call it now, an extra defender, basically. And he has stuck with that over 3 years. Now, anytime he deviated from it, like in the Munster Championship this year, against Cork, when the Borca was out marking Lehane, the whole thing fell apart. They are so comfortable in this. And you would just wonder, would that full back line of Noel Connors, Barry Coughlin especially, would they survive without that cover in front of them? So, you know, the best, when you build the foundation of the house, the foundation of this Waterford team is their defence. And now, we thought 2 years ago that by now that have moved on to developing a better forward kind of formation. Structure, it just hasn't come to pass. Like, you know, we thought the two Bennetts would be on by now. We thought Patrick Curran, that they'd be central to it now. They haven't developed as forwards under this system. So really they're stuck where they were 2 years ago. Whether that'll be good enough now or not, we'll see later on today.
Of course, the other thing, Donald, in the last couple of years, the most used word, I think, in Gaelic games is sweeper, right? But you're making the point that, you know, these are kind of adjustments to basic philosophies in a game.
Yeah, and I think you're right, one of the most used words, but I think you also need to state that it's being used with a negative slant to it. Derek McGrath's getting a hard time about, you know, for setting up defensively, but teams have been setting up for defensively long before Derek McGrath started coaching. I just took this image from a game. You see the amount of defenders in the X's compared to the 5 attackers. Now, people might say, is that Northern football? Is it Waterford hurling team? Absolutely not. It's from an All-Ireland final from the last decade. And, you know, so teams have been dropping players back. Football, that was where it originally came from. Hurling naturally followed that formation. And also, the other point that's been made is that, you know, you can't score them with only one player up. But again, this is from the last decade. And I would suggest that if today or tonight that pundits were looking at that, they'd almost be hysterical at the fact that that Kilkenny or that Waterford had so many players behind the ball and then had only one attacker up in the front. But hurling is no different than any other sport. It evolves. You look at, be it Munster playing with 8, 9, 10 players, be it a baseline rally in tennis, be it the layup in golf, be it safety in snooker. I think that there's a lot to be appreciated about the Waterford system. Me personally, I love watching Ty de Burke in that role. It's not the easiest role in the world to play.
Sure.
His composure, his steadiness, and I think that our role really should be to analyse that for what it is, and not as be as negative. And I know it could be a throwaway comment, but think about the Dutch and the Germans playing in the 70s. Should the Dutch have given the title to the Germans because they were playing what was known as the sexy football?
Yeah.
I don't think so. And every coach like Derek McGrath needs to maximise the resources that he has. And he has the absolute right to try and build whatever pathway he wants to victory.
Are you surprised the forward element of it hasn't developed better?
There's a trade-off with everything, Joe, right? So and I think you touched on it. Derek McGrath is obviously worried about his inside full back line, right? And he learned some harsh lessons. So the trade-off is when you're protecting that, then you're obviously not going to have as many people up front. But I think he's tried to compensate. I think one of the critical things today will be, can they get scores from distance? If Waterford are getting scores from distance, then that'll pull Cork out even further. But every team is trying to maximise what they have. And you even look at Cork today.
It seems to be missing a piece of the jigsaw, though, doesn't it?
But I'm interested, gentlemen, also to hear what Henry's view of this, because you played in a team where the general perception of it was that Brian Cody kept it very simple, no nonsense. But obviously, there had to be a system.
Donald just showed a clip from the All-Ireland, and you probably would have showed that clip last week and you would have seen it as well. But what I will say is that was, I would imagine, I could see TJ Reid and Martin Comfort on the field, so they were both subs, so it was about 10 or 15 minutes to go. So it was near the end of the match. But what it did show was that we had 6 defenders, the 2 midfielders did work back, and our 2 wing forwards worked back. But they got up. And if you weren't scoring, if Owen Larkin wasn't coming off the field with 3 or 4 points, and for me, yes, Waterford, and I don't take this thing that Waterford haven't got credit. We've given loads of credit to Derek McGrath, and I think he's done a marvellous job. And like Tony Brown said in the VT there, the consistency they've showed to be in 3 semi-finals, that wasn't there before. So what we're saying now is when we get to this level, it'll be interesting to see whether they can pull up. And I agree with your comments, definitely. It's about cover. And I was involved in the last match where we opened up Waterford in 2014 in the National League, and Derek McGrath said no more. And he was totally right, and he's done a marvellous job. Tyke de Burke, I would agree, I'd watch him all day long. I just feel like Gerard's comment is that, Brick Welch, Kevin Moran, Austin Gleeson, they all started their careers as defenders. So you have 4 defenders playing the forwards, and I feel that's what pulls them back. The instinct to go forward is probably not there. And that has been the question mark, whether they'll step up. And today we'll answer that.
All right, lads. Well, while hurling fans all over are looking forward to this afternoon's big game, there is, of course, a huge tinge of sadness for the first semi-final last Sunday. An All-Ireland winner with Galway on 2 occasions, he was also named the 1988 Player of the Year. And everyone here on the Sunday Game team extend deepest sympathies to Tony's family and his close circle of friends. Gerard, now you actually played against Tony in a league final back in the day.
I did indeed. Played against Tony on a number of occasions. He started in 85. We played in the league final in 87. And Colin Flynn, actually, who was the physio with later on with me, was the physio with that team. And Colin rang me, I think it was last Thursday morning, to tell me the news. And it'll be one of those phone calls that you get that you'll never forget, And like Tony was such a when you think of great half-back lines, and we think of the great half-back lines that were there in the last 20, 25 years, 30 years, whatever it is, that half-back line of Finnerty, Keady and McInerney will always stand out as one of the great ones. And he was central to that. And he perfected the art of long-range free-taking, I think, before anybody else did. Before Charlie McMahon came along, or all the great players we have of this century. So, on the field, he was such a leader and such a presence. And off the field, he was such a character, so light-hearted, but had a massive passion for Galway hurling. He knew all the young lads from 12 up in all the clubs in Galway. So, he's going to be sadly missed, most of all by his family, by his children, by his wife, by all his relations. But, as I suppose it's for us to let them know just how much, what his status is within the hurling world,
Sure.
and how much his appreciation to the game, or how much his contribution to the game is appreciated by everybody.
I think a lot of people in Galway know that, Ger.
Yeah,
The other thing
yeah.
about it is the three lads you mentioned, when you had them, you didn't need a sweeper.
That's definitely.
All right. We are going to take a break here on the Sunday game. More on today's All-Ireland semi-final.
Waterford's turn, Marty. I think they've given a long enough time up here and coming away defeated. They've learned a lot. They're probably further down the road. Tadhg de Búrca is a loss, obviously, but Waterford just might jump the fence.
Waterford it is for Brendan Cummins. Let's take a look at the teams. This is goalkeeper Anthony Nash from Kanturk in northwest Cork. He's not just a top-class shot stopper. His laser-like puckouts are a key part of the Cork strategic plan. Stephen McDonnell is the Cork captain this season, and he plays a right corner back. Beside him, Damien Callahan has developed and upgraded his performance to a very high level, while Colin Spillane from Castlelyons is a very sticky corner back. At number 5 is Napiershik's Christopher Joyce, while Mill Street's Mark Ellis has emerged this summer as a real star at centre back. But it's the arrival on centre stage of 19-year-old Mark Coleman from Blarney that has set pulses racing. Bill Cooper is a solid worker and has been very impressive in the middle of the field for Cork, only to be outshone, surprisingly, by the hurler who is his centre field partner. That's 19-year-old Dara Fitzgibbon from Charleville in North Cork. Conor Lahan is a very classy hurler and leads the attack with all-star Seamus Harnedy in number 10 and yet another 19-year-old Shane Kingston from Douglas to his left. It's a half-forward line with massive scoring potential. Alan Cadigan scored 1-4 against Clare in the Munster final and is clearly a man on fire in terms of form. At full forward is Glen Rovers' Patrick Horgan, while Luke Meade is named at top of the left. Ballygunner Stephen O'Keefe made some brilliant saves against Cork in the Munster Championship. Considering the sharpness of the Cork forwards, expect the Waterford goalkeeper to be tested again this afternoon. This is Shane Fives, who along with fullback Barry Coughlin and Noel Connors make up the day-shift full back line. Waterford manager Derek McGrath has full confidence in his back three, and rightly so. Now this is where it gets interesting. In the absence of Tadhg de Búrca, Kieran Bennett is named a right half back, while at number 6 is the awesome Austin Gleeson. At left half back, as usual, is Philip Mahoney. How these three hurlers perform could decide this All-Ireland semi-final. 4 Mile Water is a beautiful part of County Waterford, and they uniquely provide both midfielders for the Dacia. This is Jamie Barron and Conor Gleeson territory. De La Salle's Kevin Moran is the Waterford captain, and he operates on the right wing of the attack. In the centre is the Dacia's top scorer, Pádraig Mahoney, on 31 points, while on the other wing is the hard-working Jake Doolan. He's been scoring a few goals on this championship journey, and that's Shane Bennett. Posing problems as usual will be full forward Michael Brick Walsh. Well, at this stage, we all know that Dara Fives is named a corner forward, but could end up anywhere on the pitch here in Croke Park. This is Derek McGrath's 4th year in charge of Waterford, and as he said himself, it's time for this Waterford team to deliver and get to an All-Ireland final at least. Their situation, however, is not helped by the absence of Tadhg de Búrca. In contrast, Cork manager Kieran Kingston is only in his 2nd year in charge of the Rebels, but here they are today, back in Croke Park, but most importantly, they return to GA headquarters for this All-Ireland semi-final as Munster champions.
There's always a lot of focus, I suppose, on their tactics and their structures. Are you expecting a very different game today than the one in June?
Yeah, I mean, look, a lot has been said about systems and sweepers and what a team may bring and may not bring, and what Waterford will bring to the table. And if you analyse their game over the last while, they play different systems, different games, and but people may not realise they play different systems within games. So we've tried not to get too carried away with that. Obviously, you keep an eye on it, but I mean, we've focused all year on ourselves and trying to focus on what we can control and the controllables, which is our own, what happens in our own dressing room and what our lads bring to the table. We really can't influence or control what the others do.
And has the break since the Munster final been an issue at all, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we looked at that, of course, and not as much. Certainly, we had a lot of guys away with 21s, we let guys back to their clubs, and I think we actually needed a break for a week or two. We had a very tough Munster Championship campaign. We gave guys a bit of time off, back to their clubs, as I say, and some are involved with the Cork 21s. And then we got back together for the last 3 weeks, which is more or less the same as we had for all the other games. So it's really not any different to us.
How much of a blow is it to lose a player like Tadhg de Búrca?
Yeah, it's very hard to calculate it, you know, in terms of he's obviously the fulcrum of our defence structure over the last 3 years. So huge loss, one of the best players in the country. So we've espoused a lot about the importance of the panel over the last 3 years, and that will be tested today. But we've every faith in Kieran coming in, and Dara probably performed a similar role to Tadhg, you know.
Yeah, what role will they play in the defence through those?
Yeah, look, Kieran will probably pick up a man marking role, and Dara will drop back in the edge of the dealer, and we'll see what goes from there.
What have you learned from the earlier game this year in June with Cork?
Well, we've learned what we knew already, which was Cork are a serious team. I think they've proved that since, before and since, beating Tipperary, beating Clare,
And obviously we know the magnitude of the task, not many people giving us a chance, but look, it's an ideal scenario for us.
Yes, and for the last 5 years between them, it has been pretty much advantage Cork. What
I would say, as important on the other side, I think Cork are conscious of their full backline, Joe. And if you watch Mark Ellis's play today, he will not drift out of centre back. In fact, he will move mainly from centre back towards his own full backline. So if it's an open game, I think that Cork could win by a few points, and even beyond that, if it's very tight, I think there could be only a puck of the ball in it.
Okay, lads, just let me remind you that you can hear commentary on today's match as Gaeilge here on RTE. The details are on rte.ie/sport. Right here, right now, in the commentary box, it is Marty Morrissey and Brendan Cummins.
Thank you very much, Michael. In the GA world, there is nothing quite like the spectacle when local rivals, local parishes or local towns meet in the championship. It can be the talk of the place for weeks, months and right through the long winter nights.